Hello. Are we strengthening our walk in our sin or our walk in our freedom? How do we shift our want? I'm Cassie with Dream Big Today, and it is September 20th, Friday, and today I want to talk about share a thought with you I got out of Galatians 5. It is our noontime nuggets, and the readings have been so good along with the tops. So we're on every morning at 8:30 Central and again at noon Monday through Friday, but the morning time is all week long. So chapter 5 verse 13 says that Paul is writing to his brothers and sisters. So these are believers in the church, and they have a dependency on what Jesus did for them. They have a trust in the love that Jesus died for, and they love him. They're in the family of God. These that know and understand that Jesus died for freedom because of his death. So Paul is saying not to use this freedom to satisfy our sinful nature, our flesh. So we have the constant freedom versus flesh. Jesus has set us free by dying on the cross. So what will we do with that freedom? Do we choose to serve ourselves, or should we serve others? In 14 it says, my glasses. For the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. We should not use our freedom as an opportunity for our sin. Keep doing a bad habit or an addiction or something that we can just be forgiven for later. God gave us a danger to choose what to do with the freedom he gave us. It's free will. He's a gentleman. He doesn't push onto us. He lets us decide. And we can please ourselves at the expense of others, or we can please ourselves at the opportunity to be obedient to God, which will strengthen our spirit. We should not use freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. And many believers serve God with time, really missing the opportunity of being in the Word, spending quality time alone with Him. Some use a prayer closet. Some use their car, blare the Christmas, the praise music, dwelling alone in his presence. So many of us may be missing the point of abiding in him, how he wants us to be with him, to abide with him. Now, what does abide mean? It is to accept or act in a decision in accordance with the decision. It's a conscious decision to be with him, not just visit him every so often, but to take over your heart, to take over your life. And this strengthens us. It roots us deep in his love. And to experience his fullness. Every time we choose that, we are weakening our fleshly desires, the need to correct or criticize, to gossip or judge. These will devour one another, as it says in 15. But if you are always biting and devouring one another, watch out. Be aware of destroying each other. And we can see that all around us, especially this year. And if we focus on it. And in 16 through 18, Paul understands this. He's warning us that we will do the opposite of what we should do. We will want to do the sin. Why? Why do we do that? Why do I do that? Honestly, it's because my focus has fallen off of him. And it's our sinful nature to take the easy road. Unless we are obedient to being strong in him. You know, when I'm around certain groups, littles, my friends, niece and nephew, it is much easier for me to serve another, share with another, talk encouraging to another. And sometimes when I'm upset and I'm around my husband, it's a totally different story. It's easy for me to ask for forgiveness from him for the how I behaved. No, it's not always easy. But I don't want to explain that to my niece and nephew why I messed up. So I'm very aware of my decisions. But what if I focused on Jesus physically being with me? Because he's here and he's here. He's all around. He is with me. I have to always think of his physical presence sitting with me, reading. Did I skim over that? Did I miss something he wanted me to hear? Do I go to comments before I have my own talk with God? A lot of times I do. He has a physical presence reminding us how he's taught us to be. And each time we obey our flesh instead of our freedom, that flesh gets stronger. But if we do it differently, it's our freedom with him that gets stronger and more abundant. If we scroll down in our reading to verse 22, it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. We read about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. So many of us, me especially, I've tried to learn these virtues through self-help books, through Chicken Soup for the Soul, therapies, counseling. And the Bible says that if we walk with God, that spirit-filled life will produce these qualities in us. So if we are giving into our flesh, we're missing out. We don't experience that. The full freedom that he died for, we don't experience it because we're stuck in our own flesh. Giving our lives to God each day, each hour, sometimes constantly, always being reminded. It'll create a right heart within us, within all of us. But it is a conscious effort to abide in that word. A life and a desire to want to do the things he would have us do, no matter the surroundings. It strengthens our spirit, not our flesh. And it's a focus on what we can do, not what we cannot do. When we start to change daily habits for our health or for a goal we're trying to make or training for a marathon, when we're trying to change a daily habit, telling ourselves about what I cannot have, always reminding myself what I should not do, weakens me, weakens us. If we redirect our thoughts to what we can have, to what is good for us, to what we ought to do, changes our action and it strengthens our spirit. And the more we practice that, along with picturing that Jesus is right there, the more we are strengthening our spirit, claiming the gift that Jesus died to give us, freedom. So a long time ago, there was a lady in our church who said, if you have to lower your voice to talk to somebody, you probably shouldn't be saying what you think you should be saying. That has always stuck with me. And that's been 30 years. I don't want to take advantage of abiding in him anymore. And so that was my thought today. It really struck me. And I love Galatians 5. It's one of my favorites on how to walk in his spirit. And I should review it a lot. So that's my thought today. I pray that this helps you want to go back in his word and dwell in a verse or two, what he wants to say to you. Find your own highlights. I want to thank you for joining us today. You are incredibly loved. You are never alone. And I pray you have a great weekend. Go be a blessing. Until next time.